Greetings and welcome to this special edition of the podcast I'm having with a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome life coach, a colleague that I'm hoping we will have fun and we'll have a lot of exciting moments to discuss issues to do with young people. This is a podcast for young people. So if you are between 18 and 35, hang in right there. I don't want you to go anywhere else. This is for you. We're going to explore and look at the challenges that many young people are facing in this day and age. I mean, right now, I could ask you to start listing them down there and we want to talk about them. If we don't talk about them today, let us know because we'd like to discuss those with you. And we're not going to take a lot of your time. If you don't finish this, you can always tab it, come back and watch it again. But what I really would love to hear from you is what are the challenges you're facing? And let's hear them, and we would like to have a discussion with you. And so we're just going to have a conversation here in studio. And as you're watching us, feel free to comment, get in touch with us, and we will definitely be excited to talk to you. I'm Melus Njalambi. I'm a certified life, relationship, and executive coach. My passion is to help people explore and live their full potential, to transform, to become the people, the person that you're supposed to be. So I always say your transformation matters and you are responsible for that transformation. And so today, to help me have this conversation, this coaching dialogue, like I said, is Coach Farai. Greetings and welcome.
Hello, Coach Melissa. Thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to be here because, you know, when I talk about coaching, all things coaching, my heart bubbles. And I thank God for giving me this opportunity to come and speak to you today. And today we're talking about young people. These are so precious to my heart because I was once young and you were also young. So you know how it is when we talk about being young. So today we're going to explore about, the challenges that youth are facing today. And this is something that we really have to talk about, Coach Melusi. A lot of people don't have people that, talk to them about challenges that they're facing, especially our young people. And so you find that, just to give you context, there are a lot of people that are actually committing suicide, young people right now, because of just the challenges that they're facing in today's world.
Yeah.
And we are thanking God today because He's actually using us as instruments. Coming here to speak to you is not because we are perfect, but it's because we are passionate. And we also want to produce a generation that is going to be a generation for God because we are both, I believe, faith-based coaches. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I'm jumping in there because I'm like,
I know.
wow.
Excited.
And I want to tell our listeners that this is your baby. This is a topic you are so passionate about and you have been unrelenting for months. So I'm confessing in front of all the viewers that we should have had this a while ago. And thank you for your persistence. And I actually am humbled to realize that while we were once younger, our young people who are living today are not dealing with the same challenges that we had back then. Our social pressures back then are not the same as now. Their mental health challenges are not the same as now. Their career challenges are not the same as ours. There are careers that were existing in our time that have gone off. There are new careers now that we have no idea. When I grew up, we didn't even know this thing called YouTube. It was not there.
Okay. It was not there. Non-existent.
At all. And their faith challenges are also different from ours. And so on this show, like you rightly mentioned, Coach, we are spiritual people. We are Christians. And therefore, what we are discussing is in the context of the Bible, but also as practical as we can. And I think we're going to offer our reasoned psychological insights, which I'm hoping will lead them into a direction and hopefully towards transformation. On this opening episode, as we get into it, I just want to highlight that this generation of young people we are dealing with right now, aged between 18 to 35, were born in the 21st century. Most of them, the majority of them were born in the 21st century. So they are connected in many ways, and they are very informed. And sometimes in the midst of the plenty associations and platforms, they are also the most loneliest generation. And
You're right.
many of them are struggling with issues such as purpose. Why am I here? And why was I born on the side of the world I was born in, among the people I was born in? What is the purpose? What is the meaning of my life? Why am I here today? And many of them can't find the balance. So today, Coach, I really want us to focus on challenges that are facing these young people and how they can rise above them by faith, become resilient, and have clarity of purpose in their lives. And
Right.
so we will not take a lot of time, but maybe let's start with the big one, identity and purpose. Why are so many young people struggling to know who they are and why they are here? From your experience.
I think that's a very profound question, Coach Melusi, because a lot of our youth today, they are bombarded with a lot of information. That's number one. They're also bombarded with a lot of social media. There are a lot of ideas that they are being exposed to that we were never exposed to. To extend that when a child sits down and think and look at themselves and think, okay, who am I? Why am I here? They fail to get that definite answer. And also because like we're talking about faith, our children do not really understand who God is. And I think it emanates from a family point of view, as parents. How are we handling our children? Are we introducing them to Christ? And if we're introducing them to Christ, what picture are we giving our children? So from my experience, it's a lot of information at the same time that they need to process, and then trying to then match that information to their identity. Okay, there are a lot of even what can I say? I can talk about looking at yourself and trying to think, okay, I know there's a God in heaven, but what is God to me? What is it to do with who I am? So those are the things that I'm looking at and trying to think as a young person when I'm so faced with so many ideas like that. How do I then come out of it to then say, okay, this is now my identity? So
You
back
see,
to you, Coach
yeah.
Melusi.
Thanks so much. Who am I and what is my identity? And I think for me, it goes back to what we are being taught. Because number one, no one brought themselves into this world.
Definitely.
So either someone deliberately got married to someone, then they decided to have babies in the context of their marriage, or someone was having fun traveling around the world and suddenly decided to sleep with this girl or this woman or this man, and oops, a pregnancy was conceived and you were born. Or maybe someone was unfortunately against their will raped and they got pregnant and someone was born. And so we are all born out of an act of sexual intercourse.
Definitely.
No one was prayed for and boom, they're here. Everyone is a product of sexual intercourse between a male and a female, and you cannot deny it. There's a mother in your life, there's a father in your life. Whether you accept it or not, as a young person, you need to know someone is responsible for your being here. Unfortunately, or fortunately for others, they have been told about their family, about their history, where they come from, and what is expected. But some grew up not knowing. Some of the
Definitely.
deepest and the most painful prayers and requests I've ever heard are young people who are looking for their mothers and their fathers. Question on their lips is, where is my father? Where is my mother? I spoke to a 7-year-old girl in one of the African countries. I was talking to the mother and coaching the mother, and she came on the phone and I spoke to her, and the mother had told me every time we pray, this girl is asking for her father because the father is absent. And so that girl doesn't know why she is here and why their father left. In fact, the other one I read about was a girl who kept asking the mother, what did we do to Dad for him to leave us? So there are young people who have a challenge of their identity, and I want to speak to all of them, whether you are in a married family, mom and dad, or you're just raised by mom, or you're raised by guardians, your uncles or malume, anatete, and all of these different, because we say it takes a village to raise a child. So some of
Raise a
you are
child,
raised
yeah.
by the village. I want them to know that the Bible says in Jeremiah 1 verse 5, I knew you before you were formed,
In your mother's
and
womb.
I named you. Yes, formed in your mother's womb. And I knew you and I ordained you. So there is a purpose, regardless of how you came into the world, whether by normal canal birth or by operation or whatever, there is a purpose for you. And therefore, today, it will be nice for these young people to sit down and ask themselves, why am I here? And answer that question for yourself. And ask yourself, who am I when no one is watching me? What is it that really pushes me and makes me want to live another day? Everyone must find a purpose for themselves. Otherwise, life becomes a misery. If you don't have a purpose, you will become someone's purpose.
That's a good one. And also, just to add on to what you're saying, Coach Melusi, I will also want to urge the young people out there that it doesn't matter, like what you've just rightly said, however you were born or however you came into existence. The bottom line is that God has a purpose for everyone. And I just want to add also on to the parents that that are there, they've got their family, they've got their children, but they're not there to spend time with their children. They're not present to be there with their children. Because for our children to have identity or to have purpose, it's something that we instill in them. And if us as parents don't have those values, we have nothing to instill our children with. So at the end of the day, it's our children that will then learn to say, okay, this is what I've learned from my mom. This is what I've learned from my dad. So it gives them a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of knowing what their true identity is. And us as Christians, we are saying the true identity is found in Christ. And for our children to know that their identity is found in Christ, we have to do the work. And we have to introduce them to this Christ that we're talking about. So that's what I wanted to add as well.
Absolutely. But Coach, there's a challenge we have now with young people trying to identify themselves, not through what the Bible says or what Christ says, but through social media. And I know you deal with a lot of this for young people. How does social media influence the identity and self-worth of young?
It's very what's the word? It's very dangerous. I should put it that way. Because a lot of youth think that their identity is found through social media. And you find that social media, it's just there. I always tell the young people that social media is a lie. It is a lie. I'll give you a perfect example. Before we started recording this session, did you not do preparation to be on camera?
Of course, I chose the best shirt I could put on. I checked my environment to make sure it looks good. Take off all the things I thought I don't want people to see this.
You see what I mean?
Should I tell them what you took out?
So that's exactly what is social media to the young people. You know what I mean? So everyone who's on social media has to put a lot of effort to present their best selves. I can't just come on knowing that I'll be on camera. I probably have to comb my hair. I have to look good. I have to make sure my face is in the right position. But is that how I live on a day-to-day basis? If you're to come into my home early in the morning before I'm on camera, do I look like this? Do you understand what I mean? So I always urge our young people that social media is just a simple lie. It's not reality. But unfortunately, our young people are now taking that as reality. And as they try to keep up with that reality, that fake reality, then there comes a roadblocker. There comes a problems that they are now facing because they can't, it's not sustainable to keep that, that fakeness going.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Yeah.
Coach?
And that's why I believe people like yourselves have stood out to help people, young people in particular, to discover who they are and
Mm-hmm.
not chase after a mirage which they'll never catch up with. And that's why we are saying to young people today, without
Mm-hmm.
making this a big issue, get in touch with Coach Farai, get in touch with Coach Melusi. Let's help you to develop your purpose when you are younger, so that you don't waste your life and your privilege to be alive today, to make a difference in your own life, and
Mm-hmm.
don't waste time doing that which does not pay the bills, that which does not represent who you are. Social media is a fake. I like the word you used. It's a dangerous platform. If you chase
Mm-hmm.
it, you are in danger of getting lost. But I want us to also move, Coach, and talk about the other area which is a challenge for young people.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I remember when we were young, every time we'd go for camps, if you hear there's a session on relationships, everyone runs there.
I want to know.
Courtship and all of that thing. But relationships and emotional health is also a very complicated area for young people today. And the question I have is why? Why are relationships so complicated for young people today? And how do we manage the heartbreaks? Because as long as we live here on earth, I always say, as long as bonds break, so will hearts break too.
Break.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how do we manage the heartbreaks, the toxicity of friendships, the loneliness that comes with sometimes not finding the right one?
Right. Thank you for that one. And indeed, I think everywhere in the world, that is really a big problem. And most of the clients that I talked to, they always come with that question, oh, I've just had a heartbreak, or oh, I'm
Mm,
looking for the other half. But I think the most challenging things about relationship is that young people do not understand the meaning of a relationship. I'll just
okay.
start from, I'll start from just peer relationship, like friendship, just having someone that you can talk to, someone that you can relate to. So I find
Mhm.
that in the process of just choosing a friend, there are a lot of mistakes that young people make. For starters, we've just talked about purpose and identity. That will also influence whom you call your friend, for example.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
find that even when choosing mere friends, our young people are just choosing a person that does not even believe, let's say,
Mm,
or they're not even Christians in the first place. And when they're a
mm,
Christian, so
mm,
that alone is another, challenge that I see in young people.
mhm.
It goes back to the identity that we've already talked about. And then when it
Yeah.
comes to then choosing a life partner, the same principle follows. Why are you choosing a life partner?
Mm,
What's the reason of you falling in love?
mm,
Do you think you now need someone that you can call a boyfriend or that you
yeah.
can call a girlfriend?
Yeah.
So those are the things that we go back to the drawing board and say, you are
Mm,
now saying you want someone in your life. Why do you need them? Why do you want that person in your life?
yes.
So for me, I'm just putting the basics of why do we need to be in this relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a romantic relationship. Answer those questions first.
Yes.
Then we'll move on to, okay, to the reasons why you think it's important for you to then be in that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thank you so much for that powerful exposition. Yeah, it all boils down to you understanding who you are
Who you are, yeah,
and what is important to you.
to you. Mm-hmm.
In particular, I want to highlight a scripture in Proverbs 4, verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
This is a beautiful one. Allow me to perhaps just read it. I know some of our listeners might not be Bible students and might not believe in the Bible, but I need you to know what it says because it is a book of wisdom. Proverbs chapter 4, Listen to what verse 23 says. It says, your heart with all diligence,
Mm-hmm.
for out of it are issues of life.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your heart. And I'm not talking about the physical organ. Because remember, we are a spirit being.
Mm-hmm.
We are physical. We have a body. Okay, that feels something if you touch it, and if you feed it properly. If it's not looked after, the body starts telling you there's a problem. But we
Mm-hmm.
also have what we call a soul. A soul. You're a living soul, and what that means is you are a person who is accessed. You're a person who's inside, who is accessed through your senses.
Mm-hmm.
All your senses are feeding into your soul. They're not just going to the brain. The brain is the central part of your being, your soul. And
Mm-hmm.
so you are a person who has emotions.
Right.
You are a person who has feelings. You are a person who has a perspective on certain things. You know how people say, my gut feeling is not good about this.
Yeah.
So you have a gut feeling. And by the way, the gut we are talking about here is that soul. There's another verse. I don't have time to read it because I'm not in a preaching session now. I'm just sharing knowledge. But if you have time, you can read it. Proverbs 20, verse 27. The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord. Through the spirit, he searches the inward parts of the belly, that gut. That's the
Mm-hmm.
spirit of man. We have a spirit. So, what am I saying? Every young person must guard jealously their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just throw them around. Guard them jealously. So there's this thing we talk about in coaching. I'm not going to give you everything now. I need you to get in touch with me. Coach Farai will walk you through how to set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this thing we call boundaries where
Boundary.
you manage your heart and you guard it against being broken. And I need young people, coach, to realize that they are responsible for their heart. Don't say I gave him my heart. No.
No. No. If you give him your heart, how will you survive without your own heart?
It means you remain a ghost of yourself.
Your heart.
So keep your heart. It's yours to keep.
It's yours.
And
Yeah.
if it's broken, it's yours that's broken. That's why people walk away from you and they live their lives and leave you brokenhearted because it's always your heart. So choose carefully who you want to bring into your circle of friendships. Because when you are careless, that's when problems begin. That's where
Yeah.
emotional damage
Right.
happens. You know how those kids, they say emotional damage, and they make the joke. You remain emotionally damaged because you did
Damaged.
not
Yeah.
set boundaries for healthy love or healthy relationships. And by the way, if you're 18 or you're 19 or you're 20, what do you need a boyfriend for? You don't have a degree. You don't buy your own clothes, your own food. You don't pay rent. You don't go to work. Your wallet is empty. What do you need a boyfriend for? Don't you think that's a
That's
disruption? It's a disruption for me.
interesting, Coach Melissa, because I'll probably be the devil's advocate here for you. You're 18 or you're 19, and you've just talked about the feelings, you've just talked about the emotions. Those emotions are there, and those feelings are there. So I'm here to acknowledge that the feelings are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. And there's no way we're going to stop and say, oh, because you're still 18, you don't feel like having a boyfriend or you don't feel like having a girlfriend. But what we need to understand is that those feelings, number one, they are very normal and they're natural. And God gave us those feelings. Let's admit that. But I think the biggest challenge that we'll face is that, is it the ideal time for us to then entertain those feelings. Remember, we
Exactly.
say that we are the ones that can control our hearts, that can control our emotions, that can control how we feel or what we want to do. So the responsibility still lies within our young people and those individuals. I always say this to young people. The responsibility still is yours to say, okay, I'm feeling like having a boyfriend. I'm feeling like having a girlfriend, but this can wait. And it's
Absolutely.
possible. And
Absolutely.
it's
And that's where
possible. So
and that's where boundaries for me come in.
come in. Yeah, yeah. That's right.
And so
That's
Get
right.
in Touch will help you to set those boundaries and help you to navigate that space and manage the feeling. I like the fact that coach is saying those feelings are there. They
There.
are
We
there.
can't deny them.
It's normal for you to have them,
Yes.
but how
Yes.
you then use them
Use them.
is very
That's where
critical.
we are. Hmm.
We can't give them everything. Let's move on. I'm sure they'll be in touch for more. Let's
They
talk
will.
about this other challenge I have faced with many young people. I always tell my sons, please get older and get out of my wallet. So young people have to deal with career,
Huh?
finance, and issues of faith.
Hmm.
What should young people know about navigating these areas where they are not employed and there's uncertainty? You've done your degree, you're 25, 26, maybe you're 30 and you haven't had a job and you are reaching
Mm,
35. You haven't even
mm,
received a pay slip in your life
mm, mm.
and your career seems to have stalled. You've been left behind. How should we navigate, young people navigate those areas, and how can faith be influential in the decisions they make?
Thank you for that important question, Coach Melusi. I think when it comes to career and finances, I'll go back to the basics. That's me. I always go back to the basics. Or when choosing a career, really, it's all about, I know spiritually we talk about calling, we talk about, and we also talk about jobs. No, I think we've had a brief discussion, you and I, talking about jobs and callings. So it
Yes,
is
and
in
work.
that, yes, it is in that space, in the family space, where when our children are still growing, we can see what they are naturally good at, and we try and cultivate that
Hmm.
in our children, so that as they grow, they know that, okay, God has gifted me with this thing and I ought to use it to then develop into a career or develop into something that is sustainable for themselves or for their families. But I think the main also problem that we continue to face is that maybe we separate career and what can I say, and spirituality and faith.
Hmm.
That's another, another glitch that I see in our circles as Christians, because as
Yeah.
long as we have that demarcation, that line that says career is something that I do during the day, and then uh, faith is something different from that. It means faith cannot, in other words, it cannot influence my career. So I think we ought to bring these together. Like I
Hmm.
said, as
Hmm.
children are growing, can we identify something that they're good at? And then when they're at the university level, they'll go to school for something that they're already good at. So the
Hmm.
main problem that I've seen is that even when we were growing up, we're just told to go to school, go to university, or just be like, maybe be a doctor, be
Yeah.
a teacher,
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
what, but it's far from what that person likes. It's far from who they are. So at the end of the day, they finish this degree and they still feel empty inside. They're not even passionate about it. They don't even want to look for a job for it. That
Yeah.
effort that you put to look for it, because it's not in them. It's not in their
Hmm.
DNA. So
Yeah.
my basics, my understanding is still going to the basics, like what I've just
Yeah.
reiterated to you.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about that.
For me, thank you so much. That's powerful what you've said. Um, for me, my advice to any young person out there would be do something you love. If you get trained for it, that's even awesome. and get paid to do what you love the most.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can identify your area of talent, your area of gifting, develop that skill
Mm-hmm.
and let it pay your bills. So it's about monetizing your talent, and you don't have to wait until you are university level to monetize your talent. I always joked with one of my friends and I said, you know what? We should have been famous long before.
Mm-hmm.
Because the stuff we were doing back then when we were young people were so mind-blowing. I went on radio when I was only 16. National
Oh.
radio, to talk about what we called Youth in Touch, which was an association meeting with people and inspiring people. I think I became a coach before I was a coach. So career-wise, your career is not what your father wishes you to become. Yes,
Yeah.
fathers can speak to you and say, I think our child is gifted this way. Because, Farai, I believe when my father names you or your mother names you, that name is a prayer they are breathing on you.
Amen.
So go back to them and ask them, what is it they had in mind when they named you what they named you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And receive their blessing for that calling. Don't let anyone else tell you what your calling is. Your father knows. Your mother knows. There are dreams they had before you were even born, and they knew you, and they were given this privilege to father or mother you. So go back and they'll tell you what you should do. And of course, yes, you can also choose based on what you feel your talent is and what you can offer to the world. Yeah, so let the parents speak into your life, because when they gave birth to you, there are prayers that they were whispering. Before you knew anything about life, before you understood anything, like I said, no one brought themselves into this world. So your birth is a product of the thinking, the planning, the aspirations, the desires, the wishes of your mother and your father over you. These are people that carried you before you knew nothing. If I ask any young person today if they remember the first 5 years of their lives, those memories are very scantily there. It's because mommy and daddy took care of you when you knew nothing about life.
Nothing. Yeah, definitely.
And so go back to them and let them bless you for what their aspirations are. But find also your talents and then grow in that area. Now, I totally agree with you that faith must influence who we become. Okay. And so tap into your faith and look at careers that your faith sponsor and support and develop yourself in that way. And everything God created, it's a career by itself. You can choose wherever you want to be. And I would always say to young people, please choose careers that are very viable and attainable into money. Okay. If you choose a career that is not directly linked to how you're going to make money, you will be in trouble tomorrow, making that degree useful.
Useful.
All right.
Yeah, you're right.
Be very clear how you're going to make your money. And there's a crossroad many young people will come across. If you haven't come across it, don't worry, it's coming. The desire to want to attain qualifications versus the desire to make money. There are many young people sitting in Africa right now who are saying, I don't have to have a degree to make money. Fine. Go and make your money. But there's something that education does to your brain.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the greatest asset you have is your brain. For making money and for education, either way. You will be a better entrepreneur and money maker if you are educated.
Yeah, definitely.
You're always better that way. And so do career and find a way to make money. And lastly, I want to share spiritual wisdom. This is a principle you should apply. If you don't apply this one, you will not even make enough money that you're supposed to be making, half of the money you're supposed to be making. The Bible says in Colossians 3, verse 23, whatsoever you do, work at it or do it with all your heart. That's the principle. If your heart is not in something, don't waste your time.
Don't waste your
time. It will not be fruitful. Okay. So that's my work. And then, of course, have a plan. Have a plan. And so get in touch with Coach Farai or with myself to help you develop your career or your spiritual or your personal development goals. And we help you to make sure you attain them. I want you to normalize the idea of being mentored and being coached and being, for someone to hold you accountable to your goal.
Accountable. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Farai,
Have to
but there
be
has
me.
to be
Yeah.
someone in your
Someone.
life. We do it better because we are certified coaches and we know how to help you to do it better.
Yes. Talk about being educated for your career.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So those people that I wanted to add on to that, there are some people that are already in their 35, that are in their mid 20s, they're still thinking, okay, what am I going to do with my life? Again, this is the time not to cry and say, oh, I think my life is doomed. It's never too late.
Yes.
Get to sit down with yourself, get someone, if it's a spiritual, an elder or someone from church, or even a mentor, like what Coach Melus has just said, sit down with them, talk through things and make a plan of, what you want to achieve in this life. And I know there are a lot of people like what you've mentioned that never got that guidance when they were still young, and they're still struggling even up to now. So we're not saying, that's the end of your life. We are saying it's never too late. You can always achieve your dreams as long as you've got the guidance and the correct, people in your life to help you get to where you want to be.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about this last one. I know there are many, and I'm hoping our young people can comment below and let's have a discussion. Let's open this up. If you want us to redo this discussion and have it live with you guys, we'll be very happy to do that. But let's talk about influence of culture and media. I know we've talked about social media, but every young person who's listening to us right now is listening to us from a point of being encultured, whether you are an American young person, you are Caucasian, you are European, or you are an African, or you are sitting in Asia, one of the Asian tiger giants nations, or in Australia, or wherever in the islands of the Pacific. These young people are dealing with what I call aspirations. They are images they are seeing online, on YouTube, on Facebook, on TV, in the movie houses and everywhere, on Showmax and you name them, Netflix. And they are creating this image of what it means to be successful.
Successful, yeah.
Yeah, what it means to be a person of value. So we talk about digital trends. What is trending? What's the other word? What's gone viral?
What's gone viral? Yeah.
Yeah. And then young people are creating mindsets that are based on the media. They are developing values, what is important to them based on what media is selling.
You're saying, yeah.
And the question I have, Coach, is how can our young people avoid the digital addiction that comes with this media that's creating a certain culture? How do we avoid comparison traps? Because can an African young person truly be like an American young person?
No.
You go walk about and you're like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Or we speak like the Jamaican reggae stars, you know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, man. Can we really be like that and be truly, authentically African young people?
Not really, unfortunately. It doesn't work like that. I want to put it like that. It doesn't work like that. And I think as you were talking about it, I could see someone, really imagining a Beyonce photo there, and they're thinking, wow, look at her body. Look how she's so curved. Look at how she talks, how she sings, and they aspire to be like that. But like that example that you've just given, like someone who's in Africa and then looking at that image and then trying to make it them, that does not work. And it creates feelings of anxiety. It creates feelings of inadequacy. It creates feelings of I don't think I'm good enough. And in so doing, in your mind, you're thinking you're aspiring to be someone, but it's also doing something to you psychologically that you can't really put a finger on it. So
Mm,
when you then stop watching that, you sit with yourself and then you start thinking, how come I'm feeling so empty? How come I'm feeling
mm,
like I'm not where I'm supposed to be? How come
yeah.
I'm so anxious all the time? These
Mm,
are the pitfalls of trying to, to use the media or social media to determine, what success is or to
mm,
define what success is. So going back to your question, it's about then going back to yourself and asking yourself, who are you in the first place? What are your values? And what is it? What do we mean when you say someone is valuable? Where does the value come from? Does it come from what I wear? Does it come from how I look? Does it come from the clothes, the labels, the
mm,
trending,
mm,
fashion? Is that what makes me valuable?
mm.
I think this is the dilemma that our young people tend to face. Okay, what really makes me valuable in this day and age? So this is where
Yes.
I'm going at. These are the problems that we are facing, as young people and trying to define themselves from the social media and what it's giving them.
Mm, mm. That's powerful. So these aspirations are rising because young people are now exposed um, to these stars. When I grew up, we used to collect images from magazines. There'll be magazines that are sold every month, and you look for it. And when someone has read the stories, you go cut out your pages of your superstars, and we paste them by the walls in our rooms. So you get into a room full of them.
Superstars.
Yeah, I used to do art when I was young. I still do, but it's just that I don't have time to draw anymore. My son took my drawings, and I used to draw all these American stars. So sometimes I would not have access to the magazines, but when I see a picture in the magazine, I will draw it, and then they can take the magazine and go, and I'll remain with these pictures. I remember I went to a community hall one day to showcase my talent, and I lost half of my drawings because people stole them. And by the time I was going back home, I was only with a half of my drawings, and I was so disappointed. But the
Oh my
point there
God.
is, we young people are aspiring of. So I'll draw Hulk Hogan, I'll draw the Hitman WWE stars, I'll draw Milli Vanilli, all of these singers of the back then, the MC Hammers, the LL
Hmm.
Cool J's. I would have pictures and drawings of them, superstars like John Barnes, the soccer player, and Lovu, the player. So I would draw these painting or these pictures and keep them in my room or keep them in my portfolio. And I used to find so much fun in doing it. And
Hmm.
so while I used to do it on pictures, there are now motion pictures and videos that
Hmm.
people can now subscribe to. And these places are defining what young people are becoming. But I want to speak to a young person and say, look, you don't have to be the superstar. You were born to be a superstar of a
Superstar in
specific,
yourself.
in
Yeah.
your own area. Yes, by yourself, you can touch the world in your own way. And what you need is a mindset of a champion. What you need is to perceive opportunities because someone looks at their opportunity. They're sitting in a sheikh somewhere in an African township
Hmm.
and they think they're not going to amount to anything. But perspective of where you are is very critical and where you think you want to go. Because some dreams can carry you to the heights of the world if you keep dreaming long enough and
Hmm.
chasing the dream. You need to start speaking. You need to create a voice. Coach Farai, I always tell young people, if you don't speak, no one will speak for you.
Definitely.
If you don't tell us what is in your heart, we will never
We'll
know.
never
And
know. Yeah.
if you keep those ideas to yourself and you don't share them in the right platforms, you have just denied us ideas that could have changed this continent. So you need to speak your mind out and speak
Hmm.
responsibly and also know how systems of change work.
Work.
I always tell people my motto every time I coach, and I can tell you where it comes from. I say your transformation matters.
Does.
It comes from Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but
Mm-hmm.
be transformed by the renewing of your
Of your
mind.
mind. Mm-hmm.
How do you renew your mind? Renew it by acquiring knowledge. My people perish. Why?
Perish
Because
for
they
the
lack
lack of
knowledge. Young
knowledge.
people need to know how this world runs,
Mm-hmm.
understand the system of how the world operates, and tap into those systems using your wisdom and your knowledge and your understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And don't conform to what the world is doing, but be different. And the world will respect you for it. And finally, I think there is need for what I call digital discernment.
Mm-hmm. I
You
was
need
gonna
to
comment
know
on that.
that
Yeah.
this digital format of content or knowledge is going to destroy me if I follow it.
Yeah.
You need to know that. You need to know that if you visit secular, raunchy, naked styles of music where people are gyrating their bums and all of things are out as
Mm-hmm.
if so it's going to change you into a certain person. If you visit pornographic sites,
Exactly. Yeah.
they are going to change you into something else and raise up a lot of anxiety and depression. And you might end up, who knows what else you end up doing. And so
Definitely.
you need discernment to know which one is the medium that will give me the direction I want
Mm-hmm.
and where I am going. And if that medium does not represent where you are going, it has no business being in your space or you being in its space.
In its
So,
space.
so,
Yeah.
so that's a new term I'm giving young people out there to have what I call digital discernment.
Discernment. That is very interesting. It's actually very important actually to have that spirit of discernment when it comes to, to social media and digital space. Because I think most of our young people spend most of their time on social media or on,
Yes.
online. And that is where most of the information is coming from. I also read one article where parents were suing a certain company, an AI company, because their child had committed suicide. So their argument is that that child was speaking to AI and it kind of gave him the idea that it's
Mm,
okay for them to commit suicide.
mm,
So it's very important, like what you've just said, to have that discernment, because sometimes you might talk of pornography, you may talk of,
mm,
just seeing naked people and you are still there, you are alive, but who
mm,
knows what else that social media or that AI is going to do to your brain. We
mm,
might be talking of actually losing a life because you couldn't discern that, okay, this is not a human person, a human being in the first place. And it just goes to how, our children are so attached to social media. They fail to even, they forget that, these are not even actual human beings speaking to us. So you find
mm.
that there's a lot of bullying that goes on social media. Again, it's something that our young people take that seriously. I don't think in your day you would understand if someone said someone would bully you online. You think, I'll just ignore them. Oh, they bully me online,
Yeah.
But with the generation that we have now, it really affects them like thoroughly. They're actually bullied and some are even
Mm.
groomed through AI. So there's just so much that we need to be very, aware of, and very,
Yeah.
we should be very careful, when you're
Yes.
using social
Yes.
media. So
Yes.
our young people, you need to be, you need to be really careful when it comes to social media. It's not something as easy as we want to put it across.
Absolutely. I always tell young people that if you give a surgeon a knife, someone will be saved. They will use that knife surgically. Of course, it has to
Mm-hmm.
be sterile
Mm, mm,
to cut out and operate someone and save a life. But you give
mm-hmm.
that to a murderous, rowdy youth, someone will die.
Definitely.
It's the same with the technology. If you give it to someone who does not have a purpose, why they are here on earth and why they are accessing it, they will lose their lives on that platform.
Yeah,
But you take the
definitely.
same internet, same social media, and give it to someone with a purpose. they will start creating and curating content that will serve many people.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have an idea what you're doing online, you're going to start taking pictures of yourself turning around and showing people bums, and that's all you're giving them.
And that's all you're giving. Yeah.
You're going to do your amapiano dance, and that's all we're going to know. You know how to wiggle your waistline, but we don't know whether your brain has a waistline to be wiggled. So I'm saying to my young people here, choose what you want to wiggle online. Do you want to wiggle your body? Because
Definitely.
one of the funny thoughts I always have, Farai, is this generation of young people now, when they shall look at themselves when they're 60 and 70, that's if they get there. And they look at their young self now. Because remember, the internet has no lapse in memory. The internet does not forget. What you post now when you are 14, you're going to see it when you are 80. Will you be proud of your image online?
Yourself.
Think about that. And so it is important for our young people this week and the weeks to come and the months and the years to come to find their purpose. And perhaps I want to challenge young people out there. Sometimes we say find your purpose, but sometimes it's important to find the areas you are struggling in. And say, what they have said, these are the areas I am struggling in. Get help. Get help. Get in touch so that you can get help, either from ourselves or from someone you respect who's within your space, your country or your community. Just go out and get help. So find your purpose and get someone to help you grow in it. But also when you find an area you struggle in, get help. You cannot do this thing alone because you never brought yourself into this world. So I want us to bring this to a close.
So much.
I want us to bring this to a close. I know our young people don't have a lot of data to be watching us for forever.
Yeah.
Perhaps you want to share your highlights. What is the key message you want to give out? And I know people might be interested to get in touch with you for further support. How do they do that?
Thank you, Coach Melus, for that. Actually, I just want to say my takeaway points from this presentation is that our young people, there are a lot of challenges that you're facing, and we are acknowledging that these challenges are different from what we faced, from what Coach Melus has faced in his youth and other people. But we are saying we are here to help, and we want you to be better people for tomorrow. And for those people, especially the people that are in church, like our Christian young people, we want to grow the church for tomorrow. And if you get lost whilst you're still young, it means we have no church for tomorrow. And we've no one to take forward the mission or, the church of God. So please get in touch with myself, Coach Farai. You can email me on mindsheartsandlives@outlook.com, mindsheartsandlives@outlook.com, and then we can work together. Thank you very much for today.
Awesome. That's quite powerful. And I just want to say to our young people who are listening, and to parents, I know you are listening with your young people, some of you. Your children, young person, you cannot be defined by your past. You are not your past. You have a future that you can plan for. Everyone is given about 70 years or roughly 4,100 weeks. So if you are 25 right now, you've already used almost a third of that time. And there's no guarantee that the remaining time will be yours. You might die younger. And so don't waste the opportunity you have right now to make a difference for yourself and leave a legacy that will impact other people. And secondly, I want to say, like Farai mentioned, if you mess up yourself now, we don't have a church for tomorrow. If you mess up yourself now, we don't have a society for tomorrow. And so I want you to know that leaders of tomorrow are those who lead themselves now.
No.
So true leadership is self-leadership. Take charge of your life. Don't leave your life to chance. And don't surrender your hearts to anyone or your minds to anyone. Think. The best asset you have is your brain. And your brain is a library you can never fill. You can never read yourself to saturation. The brain is not like a stomach, which only takes so much food. The brain is insatiable. And with that brain, you can change the world. And I want you to begin to create a mindset of winners, a mindset of leaders. I want you to take opportunities that come your way, whether good or bad, and move ahead. Because crisis is often present an opportunity for you to innovate and come up with solutions. Solutions are always addressing a problem. So I want the young people to know the future is in your hands when you create solutions. Speak out. No one will speak for you. And execute with excellence. You can never touch the same water twice. And let me tell you, the best years you have are the years you are in right now. My best years I'm discovering are those I was in college, those I was in my father's house. So enjoy them while they last, because one day you are going to outgrow that wallet. You are going to outgrow that house, and you're going to have to stand on your own. So if you need any support, get in touch with me. I've put the details on the screen right there. And thanks, Coach Farai, for the time. I hope we can do this again. And let's keep our nations educated and trained.
Thank you so much, Coach Melissy.
Thanks. And for those who have not yet subscribed, please do so that you don't miss out on the next episode that we're going to be sharing. I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but it looks like we're going to have to come up with another blockbuster topic that we'll share with our young people. So subscribe, like the channel, and we've put the details to Coach Farai as well in the details in the description of this video. And thank you, and have a blessed day.